In this video, bringing you guys the top 10 most unique bloodlines at Shindo Life. So it's been almost a year since I've done this video, and there has been, as you might guess, there's been around like 20-30 new bloodlines introduced to the game. So I feel like there is an obligation to redo the video. So if you guys don't know what unique is, it's basically just creative, you know, new, something that hasn't been done before. So if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, let's get right to the video, guys. Coming in 10th place is going to be Naramaki. Now the reason for this is because Naramaki, it has assets that are actually reused from other things like tailed beasts or the shurikens. You know, everything is pretty much reused, but I feel like since it is a bloodline itself, it is actually very unique and very creative as a bloodline, because they have never really put it into a bloodline before. So if you guys don't know Naramaki's abilities, you should by now. Third ability is like this giant absolute massive damage burst. It's nearly instant. Someone said had 4 hand signs, it doesn't. And then obviously do the second ability here is like a bunch of shurikens that you throw at them. The first ability is going to be a teleport ability. I'm sure you guys have seen that before. Senko has one, you know, Ashes Storm, all those people have one, which is what I mean by reused assets. The C, like I would guess that everything about Naramaki has probably been in the game before, but I feel like the fact that they were able to combine it into a bloodline that isn't absolute garbage is it's pretty creative, all things considered. Now coming in 9th place is going to be Light Fruit. Pika Senko. Now Pika Senko is Shindo Life. I do feel like it's a very unique bloodline for Shindo Life itself, because you know obviously there's not that many One Piece bloodlines in the game, or you know at all. So I feel like for One Piece users, this is probably their favorite bloodline in the game. You know, the people that love One Piece stuff. I do expect them to release some more One Piece stuff eventually, because you know Naruto only has so many things that you can make new bloodlines about. But for Pika Senko, I do feel like Pika Senko is unique in the aspect of it's one of the first bloodlines in the game to have like an actually really amazing traveling move. The first ability is kind of like Odin's second, but I feel like the visual effect is really good. I do like the visual effect. The third ability is one of the first charging moves in the game. You know, Rengoku actually has a different type of charging move, but Pika third is actually one of the first, if not the only type of charging move of the game, and besides the new Rengoku ability. Obviously guys, the mode of it's very cool, but I feel like the mode, the mode, all I'm gonna say is that I feel like the weapon should not be required for the mode, but that's not anything to do with how unique it is. The bloodline in the end is very unique, and it's actually one of the best, you know, utility bloodlines in the game right now. Now coming in 8th place is going to be Rengoku. You guys know why this is on this list. I mean, Rengoku mode is quite literally one of the most creative things in the game. Not only that, but look, you could walk through them now. Thank the Majesus, man. That is absolutely amazing that you can do that now. But other than that, the actual mode is super creative. It's the only mode where you can get multiple mode abilities without actually changing the mode effect. So that's very cool. You know, it's honestly just super unique. The mode is absolutely amazing. I think the mode is probably one of the most unique things probably introduced to the game. The actual abilities, the first ability is a charge effect. The last one we saw was Pika Senko's ability here. So, you know, that's very cool. That just did 70,000 damage. That's a little bit of damage there. The second ability, I mean, like, it's not unique. It's just a Goku pool. It's honestly part of the reason why it's going to rank this low in the list. I feel like the actual abilities themselves, they're not the most unique things in the world, because there's other versions of them within the other bloodlines or subjutsus and things like that, but the actual mode definitely puts it on this list. This mode is absolutely stunning, man. Now coming in 7th place is going to be Forged Rengoku. Now this was actually number 1 on the last list, as it was the newest bloodline in the game, but the reason why it's going to rank so low is because the third ability is actually a completely reused ability. Ryan Ren has it, Bankai Inferno has it. There's a ton of bloodlines that have that specific ability, but the actual moves of Forged Rengoku, they look very similar to one another, so that's kind of another point docked off. But when it comes to Forged Rengoku, I actually feel like the actual abilities itself are very creative. I mean, all the abilities, they have something special about them. There's a reason why Forged Rengoku is a lot of people's favorites in the game. It's a very cool bloodline. It's fun to use. It's super toxic against people. You know, people love that crap, but in the end, it is going to rank 7th on the most unique bloodlines. Now coming in 6th place is going to be Van Helsing. You guys already knew this was going to be in this list. I mean, Van Helsing, absolutely creative, unique, absolutely, like, it's so different from every other bloodline in the game. It has to be in this list, but the reason why it's not going to rank higher is because it's not a Naruto bloodline. It's actually based off of a movie called Morbius. I do feel like the bloodline is very cool. This actually is my favorite bloodline in the game right now, but I feel like the abilities themselves, I feel like a lot of them are they're kind of reskins of each other. So even though the bloodline is a lot different from any other bloodline in the game, I feel like the actual moves are kind of very similar to each other, but you know, that's fine. That's perfectly fine, because it's a bloodline. It's supposed to feel like it's the same thing. The first ability is really cool. I feel like it's like a much better a Minakaze first if you're not going to use it for escaping combos and instead going to them. If you do it fast enough, you can actually warp 3 times to them, which is absolutely amazing. You do have the ranged M1s here. The second ability is kind of like the throwable spec, but it's a little bit worse, in all honesty. I'll say it, because the iframe doesn't last as long. And then the third ability is obviously going to be a blood sucking ability. You know, you dash them. It's only automatic cooldown. It shouldn't be, but you know, it is what it is. So for Van Helsing, it's going to be coming in 6 because I do feel like the bloodline is very unique, very creative, but I feel like the moves are actually kind of reskins of each other. Hey you, yeah you, have you remembered to hit that like button on the video yet? If you haven't already, go ahead and do it. All right, so coming in 5th place is going to be Kagoku. Now this is going to be coming in 5th because Kagoku itself is a very, very, very unique bloodline when it comes to the mode. I feel like the mode is one of the most creative things in the entire game because there's actually a subjutsu mode that goes with it. All right, so I went ahead and equipped it. It's called Kagoku Rapid Spear, and it actually does change your mode. This is the only mode of the game that actually, you know, straight up changes the abilities and not just the visual aspect of it. As you guys can see, the M1s, they're a lot bigger and do a lot more damage than they would normally do. But for the actual abilities of Kagoku, I mean, the first ability, it's unique, but it's not good. But you know, it's not about how good something is. The second ability, it's a pull ability that definitely gonna dock some points for that, even though the pull ability is quite good. And then the third ability is quite literally just a combo breaker. But back onto the most creative part of this bloodline is going to be the mode. The actual mode, you can actually go in different dimensions, and every single dimension has different types of M1s. So there's going to be 4 different dimensions you can go into, and this is going to be the lava dimension. As you guys can see, it's crazy. I'm going to go ahead and unequip the Z spec so you guys see how it was kind of like that before, but now it's actually a lot smaller than it was before, and it will do a lot less damage than it was doing. So this is the ice dimension. As you guys can see, gonna quickly go into the Z spec here, and I'll show you guys the ice gets so much bigger. It does so much more damage. So yeah, Kagoku mode is super creative. Now coming to 4th place is gonna be Ryan Red Goku. On release, Ryan Red Goku was the most unique bloodline in the entire game, which is why it's actually gonna be here on this list. But since then, a lot of the abilities have actually been reused. Like the second one, the actual effect and all that stuff has been reused by things like, you know, Boramaki. And then the third ability, you guys already know, it's in like 5 different bloodlines, like I've said before in the video. But the actual concept of Ryan Ren was extremely new at the time. It was one of the most creative, most unique, most inventive bloodlines that have probably came to Shindo Life, and I do feel like that's part of the reason why it actually is so many people's favorites. Not only that, but it is one of the rare bloodlines that have a second mode. I actually do not have it for the regular Ryan Ren. One second. So for the second mode here, I'm going to show you guys the Azure version of it because I like blue more than purple, which is why I leveled this one up. So it is one of the rare ones with the second mode, and now that it doesn't have a timer or anything, people are saying it drains 200 mode drain a second. It clearly doesn't, as you guys see at the bottom of the screen. But this is about unique, not how good something is. But when it comes to Ryan Red's second mode, I actually do feel like it's very creative. All things considered, they do reuse the Susanoo. This ability is on Sengoku, things like that. Like, I feel like if you looked hard enough, you could see some of the abilities reused, but in the end, Ryan Ren on release was the most unique bloodline to probably ever come to Shindo Life. Now, coming in 3rd place is going to be Ryuji Kenichi, and you guys knew this is going to be in this list. Ryuji Kenichi in itself is a very unique bloodline because there's only one other Thai bloodline in the game, which is Kenichi. You know, Thai lovers beware. Ryuji Kenichi, when it gets nerfed, they're gonna be modded. But when it comes to actual Ryuji Kenichi, it's very creative as a bloodline. I do feel like the fact it was kind of different as a bloodline made it even better than it probably was at the start, because people didn't realize just how busted the low mode was until like a few days after, when people were getting absolutely wrecked by it, and then they nerfed it, and it's still amazing. So obviously, guys, I don't have someone here that could slam my face in, so you guys won't be able to see the low HP mode, but I feel like the low HP mode is kind of the most unique part of this bloodline, because even though there's other KGs in the game, there's other modes in the game that give you a second life, none of them really give you an insane stat boost when you're about to die. I feel like that's actually really cool, all things considered. Not to mention the actual abilities, even though some of them are like Kenichi, in the end, it's very unique as a bloodline since it scales off a tie. Now, coming to 2nd place is going to be Eastwood Karashi. Now, the reason why this is going to be in 2nd is, you know, I didn't want to put this on this list at all because there's Eastwood lovers. I kind of want to see them mauled and stuff like that. But, I mean, like, Eastwood, I have to put it on the list, I guess. It's very creative as a bloodline. It's the only, you know, bloodline in the game that shoots pistols at people. It's the only bloodline in the game that has a bunch of these really cool effects. Like, it is based off of Bleach bloodline, if I'm not mistaken. It's Coyote Stark or something like that. And then the actual effects of it, they're very unique. They're not really, none of them are actually reskins of any other move in the game. So this bloodline is definitely one of the most unique in the entire game, not just for the actual mode, which is a cowboy, but for the actual abilities themselves. Now, Honorable 1 is going to be Kamaki. Now, I feel like Kamaki could have been higher on this list. I do feel like it could have been higher on this list, but I feel like a lot of the abilities are kind of just odd, all things considered, when compared to other bloodlines. So the second ability, it's like Minakaze, but with damage. And obviously, Kamaki came first. I feel like Kamaki was actually a test for Minakaze. So they do have very similar abilities, just Kamaki does damage. It takes a lot more chi. The first ability is like Boromaki's first ability, but it's actually a lot better since, you know, you're not on top of them. And then obviously, guys, the third ability here, you guys have seen that before in this video itself. I don't really need to explain why. The visual effect is kind of similar to other ones, but I feel like the actual effect of the ability is very, very unique. Then you do have the C spec here. There's no other C spec like it. And then you do have a weapon spec here, which is just a beam. So in the end, Kamaki, I do feel like it's a very unique bloodline, which is why it's going to be on this list. And I feel like if Minakaze didn't exist, it would probably be within the top 3. Now, Honorable 2 is going to be Ghost Karashi. Now, this is going to be Honorable 2 because you guys already know Ghost Karashi, you ride a motorcycle. There's no other motorcycle bloodlines in the game. Believe it or not, there are no other motorcycle abilities. But other than that, it actually does have really cool things you could do with it. You know, the actual abilities of Ghost Karashi are all unique. There's nothing really like it. It does use Azarashi chains, but, you know, it has really cool abilities. And Eastwood Karashi actually did borrow some abilities from Ghost Karashi, even though Eastwood Karashi is kind of more unique as the bloodline itself. But Ghost Karashi, you know, it's one of the most unique bloodlines to drop in the game. By the way, guys, what do you guys think is the most fun bloodline in Shindo Life? Feel free to tell me in the comments below. Now, coming to first place, still the most unique, most creative bloodline in the game is going to be Minakaze. Now, even then, even though it's not the newest bloodline in the game, a lot of the abilities have not been reused. I would say the closest thing to anything that has been reused for this bloodline is actually the Q spec, which is like Kamaki's cubes, but Kamaki actually came out first. So I would say that is the only thing that is even remotely similar to other bloodlines. The reason why Minakaze is a lot of people favorites, and by a lot, I mean like genuinely a lot, is because even though the bloodline isn't that good, it's very easy to dodge, it's very easy to get out of, you know, it's not that great for combos. It's kind of a noob stompy bloodline, but the reason why it's so many people's favorites is because it is so cool. It's so fun to use. It is so creative. It's so different from all the other bloodlines of the game. I feel like that is definitely something very special when it comes to this game. You know, considering some of the bloodlines, they kind of feel like copy pastes of each other with like 1 or 2 new moves, but I feel like recently they have definitely stepped up their game. So like things like Minakaze, the new Red Goku rework, you know, things like that, they have definitely stepped up their game. And I do feel like this remains the most creative, most unique bloodline in the actual game. Anyways, guys, actually for this video, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like, subscribe, guys. Bye-bye.